She had a building that was not far from the Chop and the Chads, this anarchistic zone that was set up in the 2020 era, and she had
Yeah.
been robbed continuously. We had a bunch of cameras that were there, and they were doing what cameras do. And she called
Yeah.
me up and she said, "Listen, I know that you're highly technical. You think outside the box. I want you to please come down to my site. I want to discuss an opportunity with you."
Hey guys, and welcome to the Grow IT podcast. One of your hosts here, Trey King. And today we are excited to have our guest, Mr. Eric Larson from Action CS. And we'll be diving into his story today a little bit, and then as well as what his company does, and some engaging insights to the technology industry. So make sure to stick around. But without further ado, Eric, welcome.
Hey, how you doing, Greg? It's an
Very
honor to
well.
be here.
Oh, no, thanks. The honor is ours. Eric, if you don't mind, if we maybe can start, if you don't mind, just to quickly introduce yourself and just tell a quick snippet of your story and what your business does.
Wow. So, I was born and raised in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I went in the Army. My 17th birthday with a parental waiver. I got out. Most of my adult life, I've been working in data centers, ISPs, and phone companies. Circling around the managed services and tech sector in many different avenues. So, yeah, it's a bit confusing, but I own multiple companies. So
Okay.
I own a smart gun company called TrueFire. We retrofit
Yeah.
AR-15s, shotguns, and pistols with smart gun technology, so they only fire in the right hands.
Oh, wow.
I own a telecom agency, a boutique telecom agency called Blue Pride IS. So I have access to every single technology vendor out there, and I work as kind of a Sherpa and help people guide them into technology decisions from everything from, broadband to telephony to cybersecurity to managed services, you name it.
My word.
And then in 2020, well, another company I own, but where I think we're shutting that down as a structured cabling and fiber optic company because you just don't have time for that anymore. But in 2020, we started a company called Action CS, and it was kind of out of necessity because of what was going on in the world. I live in the Seattle metropolitan area. You know, in the anarchists had taken over the police station, right?
Yeah.
It was a bit of anarchy, as you would say. We had installed thousands of cameras around the area, right? And people were coming to me on a pretty consistent basis saying, "Hey, why can't the cameras do something? They just sit there recording, right?" And there's a lady named Clara. I won't say her full name. I don't think she really cares, but she is a nice old lady. She had a building that was not far from the Chop and the Chads, this anarchistic zone that was set up in the 2020 era, and she had
Yeah.
been robbed continuously. We had a bunch of cameras that were there, and they were doing what cameras do. And she called
Yeah.
me up and she said, "Listen, I know that you're highly technical. You think outside the box. I want you to please come down to my site. I want to discuss an opportunity with you." And I said, "Okay." You know, um,
Mm.
so I get there. We're standing in the foyer. She's pointing at her door. She's telling me about how she just got robbed for $19,000 in rental monies. I don't know why she had that much money on her, but she did.
Yeah.
And it was like the third or fourth robbery in a week or more. And she's standing. She said, "Listen," and she's holding her phone. She's pointing at the front door, and she said, "I want to know on my phone if they come through that door after a certain time at night." Right? And I told her, I said, "Yeah, that's easy to do. You can set up the analytics and push notification of the camera
Yeah.
systems that you have now, and you'll know when they do." And she said, "Well, listen, I want to be able to push a button on my phone, and I want to turn on obnoxious strobe lights. I want to draw attention to their behavior." I said, "Well, that's a great idea. Can't do it with this, but I think I know how to do it." And she said, "Well, I want to push another button on my phone, and I want to be able to yell at them. I want them to know that I know." She was in
Yes.
tears. She was very serious about this. And of course, I'm kind of a dry sense of humor guy. I'm messing with her, and I said, "Do you want another button on your phone?" And
I just
we'll put
I
a
just
can of
wanted to
tear
say.
gas right at eye level, and you press the button, you squirt them right in the eyes, right?" And she says, "Can you do that?" I said, "No, that's assault. You can't do that, right?
Yeah.
But you could do everything else. I think give me a little bit of time, and I'm going to come up with a solution." And so I came back to our CTO and our CEO, and we have a great group of guys. that are great
Yeah.
at taking real world problems and turning them into technology-based solutions that fix those problems. And so we're like, wait a minute, I mean, I told him the story about Clara, and it's not a singular story. I mean, this is happening all over the place. People they're run over. They're just tired of the criminal activity. They're tired of
Mm.
recording people in masks, turning that
Yeah.
footage into the police and the police doing nothing, right? And
And
so we
can't
said,
do
well,
actually anything. Mm.
there's got to be a way where we can make this so that it plugs and plays to almost any existing camera out there. We work with almost every camera brand, almost every VMS platform out there. It's a really simplistic design. I mean, it's very high tech at its core, but we knew we didn't want to be in the software business, and
Yeah.
we wanted it to be a passive device. The device itself listens for audio out, which is built into most camera ecosystems, or alarm out or digital out, which is built into most camera ecosystems already. We use the physical dry context of the pigtails, and then we make the audio out happen. Whether it comes at us from a live talk down from your mobile application, like Clara said, I want to yell at them from my phone. We made that
Yes.
happen, right? And so now
Excellent.
we think about it this way: people put cameras in spots, specific areas for a reason, right?
Yeah.
So why not make the cameras do something? Set up the analytics so go get a human, or go to the monitoring center. Let someone know that there's something in the field of view that needs attention. You can use all kinds of AI and filtering capabilities to fine tune it to filter out, false alarms or whatever it may be. But then give
Yeah.
the capability of the person viewing that camera to have a single button push to talk down, single button push to turn on strobe lights, right? And now we're getting into the software business now because we have this whole new audio card system. We add tiered audio messaging. So
Yes.
think of it this way: almost every camera system has, motion, line crossing, trespassing, kind of basic analytical triggers, and they're getting crazier and crazier by the day. Now they're detecting specific actions and all kinds of specific things due to AI and machine learning stuff like that. But
Yeah.
now we can tie analytical triggers to tiered messaging, and we can change the colors. So it's not just red, blue anymore. Now you can do yellow, cyan, purple, whatever crazy color you want. And you can
Yeah.
change the brightness and the volume of the messaging with specific messaging off analytical triggers. And what you're doing is, I mean, I'm sure you've been to the parking lots. You saw the blue blinky trailers, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, Well, they've been blinking blue 24 hours a day for the last 4 years, and people just ignore them. They become ubiquitous. And then same thing is true with the messaging. It was just, ad nauseum, you know, um, just repetitive messaging, and it got ignored. So we took that scenario. We were already pretty effective because we're always trying to tie it to remote video guarding. So there's a person actually engaging it when it's necessary. I don't
Yes.
think you should leave the strobe lights on, and you shouldn't be playing the messages automatically. I mean, if there's no action, right?
Yes.
What we wanted to do was be able to determine if there's action and then tie that to an analytical trigger and then determine the intensity of the messaging and then determine the brightness and all these things. So now that's all on the table. So this
This
has
is
become,
excellent.
well, it's funny. Um, I always put it this way, you're not doing it right unless Chinese companies are trying to knock your stuff off, right? And I'm
That's an
getting,
interesting way of looking at it.
well,
I love
it's
that.
you got to make lemonade out of lemons, right? So
Yeah,
I
got
mean, consistently being bombarded, I'm not hourly, but I mean weekly, I'm being contacted by Chinese national companies say, hey, buy it from us. It's like, hey, like first of all, that was my idea. Second of all, I mean, my kids work here. You want me to fire my kids and then just buy Chinese stuff? I mean, I'm not trying to be
yeah.
xenophobic or anything like that, but I try to keep close to home. But
Mm, mm, mm.
but so you had a list of questions, right?
Yeah. The
Is Go ahead.
yes, the no, what I wanted to ask you is, based on like your expertise, what are the current market trends like, that you are currently aware of when it comes to action, to your obviously this this new business venture of yours. In a from a market in in the market space at the moment, what trends are you picking up? Which directions are people going? What are you noticing?
So, well, this is my worldview, you know what I mean? And I'm a hammer, so everything looks like a nail. So, but in my specific worldview, I'm seeing a lot of telecom because um, the business I have with the telecom agency is very synergistic because now people are trying to put cameras in many different areas, covering dumpsters, covering parking lots, covering areas, trying to bring safety and active criminal deterrence to areas where there's just no network, right? And so one of the things I've always specialized in is the ability to find broadband where people think there is no broadband.
Hmm.
And so I have myriad of options. I have every SIM carrier provider out there, Starlink options, all kinds of satellite options. So I always tell people, tell me where you're trying to put it, and I'll get you broadband guaranteed anywhere in the world. So I'm seeing a lot of that where
Yeah.
people need to have network where it wasn't or isn't readily available or not readily not known to be available. So that I see a lot. I see a lot. The mobile security trailers. I
Yes.
think they're awesome. We sell them, but I think their application should be defined. If it's a remote area, if it's a construction site, if it's a remote pipeline or substation, they're great options because there's no infrastructure and you really have to kind of bring out your own. But what we're
Yeah.
seeing is that in the urban markets, in downtown Atlanta at a Walmart, I mean, you can't put a trailer in there and wonder why your hubcaps are gone. That's on you, right? So
Yeah.
making that decision. So we just developed the light pole power kit. And now think of
Okay.
everything you would put inside of a trailer and put it into a box and then put it into a unistrut clip-on solution that goes 15 feet up the light pole. Give back every customer their parking spots. Every car dealership can have every parking spot back. Then you get them up off the ground and you put them up. I don't know if this is common knowledge to the world, but one of the cardinal rules in security camera installation is you don't put anything where the criminals can reach it.
Yeah.
If they can reach it and it's in their way or it's going to record their face or potentially lead to their arrest, they're going to deface it, vandalize it, mess with it. So unless it's like a facial rec camera that you want to put down below the ball cap,
On their level. Yeah.
right? Typically, you're going to have a camera 10 feet up and above. But in these urban areas, we're seeing that a lot of the trailers are becoming the target of aggression. This people living in an RV down the street from the Walmart would love to have that solar panel system because they want light too.
Eric, if you don't mind, can you please elaborate for us a bit more regarding insights on, active deterrence and proactive security, please?
Sure. I would say that the legacy technology of security cameras for the longest time has been record, take a look at the footage, turn it into the police, and hope that something happens. With the diminishment in the police response, and the increase in criminal activity, the demand has come now that the standard is now being set in the technology that we provide. And I see it all over the place, that the ability to add the active deterrence, active criminal deterrence, strobe lights, loudspeakers into the immediacy of criminal, preventing the intent is where it's at.
Okay.
You know, what used to work, it doesn't work anymore. And honestly, I would go as far to say that I don't think it ever worked.
Yeah.
Grainy footage of people. But so coupling, one of the things, our tool set adds the immediacy of strobe light and talk down. And the AI is getting there right now to the point where we're able to fine tune the machine learning to be able to interact. But I still think you need a human being. And so we're tying the remote viewing of the cameras to remote video guarding companies. And we don't do remote video guarding, but we have a number of very good quality partners. So the minute people finish installing our stuff, their next obvious question is, well, who's going to watch it? We offer the opportunity to self-monitor if you want to, but most people want to sleep at night and just get an
Yeah.
email of all the things that were chased away, kind of thing. You know, um, I hear it time and time again, the legacy model of having a security guard. It's expensive, and for some reason they were always asleep or missed it, or it just they have
Yeah. Murphy's
patrols and
Law.
patrol cars, stuff like that. So we flip the script with that. And so there's somebody watching all the time. There's AI that's filtering out false positives kind of thing. And then we're escalating because I'd say a good percentage of the time when you turn on the strobe lights and come over the talk down, it deters the crime before it happens. But if someone's bound to determine, and it'll happen. I'm not saying it's 100% of the time you're going to be able to deter, but at least you can have, well, let me put it this way. This is a perfect example. So in Seattle, where I live and am based, right, our legislators just passed a law saying that Seattle police does not have to respond to burglar alarms alone. All right. So
All right.
the additional evidence, such as video verification, like the technology that we bring to the forefront, is necessary to get the police response. Honestly, I look at it this way. There's so much defunding in the police departments now that you can't respond to every single burglar alarm out there. And it makes sense. I mean, yes, a lot of people were exasperated about the fact, and of course I see it as a boon because, I benefit from it,
Yes, of
but
course.
it's kind of just the natural way that it's going anyways. The police departments love the solutions that we provide, you know, um, knowing that it goes through multiple filters before it gets to them because active deterrence has been deployed. We've dispatched possibly a guard kind of thing like that. If we're coming to the police, there's ongoing criminal activity, and we can push the video to the police officers' mobile phones, and it's gone through multiple checks, right? So the police really appreciate the fact they're going to grab
Yes,
our
I think
calls
so.
and know it, the ability to see what they're getting into
Yeah,
is massively beneficial, right? But so the police really do it. They do really love what we do.
what you guys
Eh,
do.
Yeah.
Jeez, I would definitely think so. I mean, there's a lot of value that this business of yours bring to the marketplace. It's quite profound. Tell me, from if we can talk about on, maybe just a little bit more from a business perspective, as a, let's say, a 30,000 foot overview, as they say, right?
Okay.
Tell me, Eric, in your opinion, right? What type of mindset would you say is needed to be a successful founder of a company? I mean, you've got a couple, you've grown, quite a lot. What
Right.
what mindset are we talking about here?
Well, I mean, I think Tony Robbins has a great example he did with Theo Vaughn, where he made him look for the red and he made him look for the blue. I'm sure you've seen that. But you're actually following, um, you have to develop a mindset that manifests greatness, right? You have to
Yeah.
know that you can do it in your own mind. Remove all doubt and just keep moving. Then you're going
Mm,
to get doubters, you're going to get haters, you're going to get people all over the place that are going to tell you that you can't do it. I mean, you have to push them aside and push on. And I'm not saying that you have to gobble up the world all in a single bite. You're going to choke, right? But
yeah.
you have to set goals and plans. The entrepreneur mindset is you're the first one there and the last one to leave, right? And you're
Mm,
working nights and weekends. You're building a dynasty, right? It
yeah.
it has to be that mindset, and nothing is impossible. You have to make educated decisions, but you can't be a negative thinker. You have to manifest positivity. You have to manifest success. You have to write down goals. Every day, start with a list and make sure that you're targeting the things that are the most important to accomplish that day. I mean, write it down, manifest it, make it happen. Those are the things that I do.
That's such good advice. Tell me then, if there is maybe one or two golden nuggets, right? If you can maybe elaborate on what you just mentioned from a mindset point of view, but if there's two golden nuggets or more that you would say are the most important things that you've learned in your career up until now, what would
Well,
what would what would that be if you don't mind to mention a couple?
well, failure is a lesson, right? You
That's
always have
that's
to.
strong. Yeah,
So
that's a bumper sticker right there.
you you're going to fail 1,000 times before you win many times, right? But you
Yeah,
have to look at each failure not as a like, hey, I shouldn't be doing this kind of thing. It's like, what did I do wrong that time?
yeah,
How can I do it differently going forward? And each time that you fail, you have to use it to make you stronger. That which does not kill you does make you stronger. And so if you don't look at the failure, you can't have a a blame mentality. You have to have accountability. You have to realize that most of the time you fail because of something you did, right?
Yes.
It's not just the world against you. What did you do wrong? Or if you think it's the world against you, I mean, how can you change your perspective to overcome it anyways? Yeah.
Excellent. Well, Eric, I truly need to thank you. I think there's a lot of like I mentioned earlier, these nuggets that I think some of our listeners will take and hopefully take to heart as well. But I can fully understand why your business is so successful. I think there's tremendous value that
Thank you.
that you bring to your business, and thank you for coming on. Tell me real quick, where can if our listeners wants to get hold of you, where can they do you maybe have a website, or what channels can we find you on?
Sure. The website is action, ACTION dash C as in camera, S as in
Yeah.
system.com, action-cs.com. We're on Instagram and as action-cs. We're on Facebook. We're on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the business platform that I prefer. I'm slightly famous on LinkedIn. I don't know if that matters at all in the world.
I saw that.
And then, I got a
Yeah,
few followers and I have a little fun, but you have to
yeah,
have fun, you know.
of course.
But those are the places you can find me, or my mobile number is 206-861-3356. I always make myself available.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Eric, thanks for coming on. This was a good chat. Appreciate you. Take care. All the
Thanks,
best.
Greg.
Bye bye.
Have a great one.